So many sales teams think that the problem is closing, but in reality, revenue can be leaking way before your salesperson is trying to close a lead. And so this KPI is going to expose whether your team is actually touching the demand you're paying for, and how response time is maybe the most important metric you can track, and how it determines within what time frame. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing here in this data set, and if you want this data set, there's a link to download it or just shoot me an email. It's assigned to, and then, where's the lead coming from? And then if you have like a drop down in your lead, like in your capture, your lead form or your landing page, or however you're getting this. I mean, if you're using, Facebook ads or different types of ads, you can capture this data. Essentially, if you have the lead timestamp, the sales rep, and then the first contact timestamp, you can do all this. This other stuff is just other ways you can slice it, the lead source. So essentially what we want is we want to get a unique list of this. Like, we don't want, PPC to be here, more than once. And fortunately, there is a function called unique. And this data is already in a table, so what you can see is, you see like how E highlights. We don't want that. We want where the cursor changes to a down arrow, but E isn't highlighted, because what you'll see is that highlights the table, and that's exactly what we want. And then now you have a unique list. I'm going to copy this, Control C, and then Control Shift V to paste it. Okay, so the next thing we need are these four things. Lead, like the number of leads, how many were contacted, how many were not. It's just COUNTIF, right? COUNTIF, how many times the word maintenance member is in the lead column. And actually, because it's in a table, and we know the name of the table is TBL for table, we don't even have to go back to the data. We can just type this in, and it's pretty, easy to do that. And so the answer we're looking, you can see, let me just center everything, that now we have the count of all the different types of leads. Okay, so for contacted, so in other words, you can see here, this is going to be like 15 minutes, right? Because you can see this was 6:15 and this is 6. So the formula, I already typed it here because whenever I built out the solution from the beginning of the video, but I'll show you how to redo it. So equals, if this equals 0, then give me nothing, blank. Otherwise, subtract these two. And what you're going to get is a weird sort of decimal, right? You're not going to get 15, because what this is giving you is, this is 1%, 0.010 minutes. And the way we do that is we multiply this, right, times 24 hours in a day times 60 minutes, because we want the number of minutes, right? And so we get 15 minutes, and that's how you do that. And then you just, drag that down, and you're getting an error here. Yeah, that's weird. I'm not sure why you're getting an error, because, oh, I know why. It's because I gotta put all of this in a single, because what it's doing is it's taking the blank and multiplying it times 24 times 60. Yeah, and so that works. So that's how you do that. So we have that. And then the next thing we need to do, which is actually the hardest part of the whole problem, is we need to create this formula. I'm not going to retype this one. It looks scary. It's not. What it's doing is, it's just an if-s statement. And so equals if-s. And so again, if this here, now we're using column J, if this is blank, then it's not contacted. But if it's less than or equal to 5 minutes, then it's 0 to 5. If it's less than or equal to 10, then it's 6 to 10, right? Less than or equal to 15, 11 to 15. So you can just pause the video to get this formula. But essentially, so the first thing you might be asking yourself, like, okay, if it's 8 minutes is less than 60 minutes, it's less than 30 minutes, it's less than 15 minutes, like, why doesn't it, why isn't it saying 31 to 60? And it's because this is sequential. So it looks, okay, is it less than 5? In 8 minutes, it's like, no, okay, let's go to the next one. Is it less than 10? Yes, therefore it's 6 to 10 number of leads. And then you can just drag that down or double click. If you press Control Shift 5, you will get a percentage. Okay, so now we want to create the chart here, which is just pretty simple. It's just a column with the percentages and then a line with the number of leads. I did it this way because we're more focused on the percentage. If you wanted to focus on the leads, then you can make the columns the leads if you wanted to. But we're going to highlight lead source, and then leads, and then hold down control, and then lead to contact rate. Insert recommended charts, and you can see right here, but right now this is backwards. And you can leave it this way if you like it, but I'll do it the other way. So all charts combo, and then now what we want is we want this to be a clustered column, and then we want this to be a line, and then we want this to be a secondary axis, the top one. And so now you have the contact rate on the left, on the y-axis, and not the secondary axis. And then we can just call this lead to contact rate by, you can say, lead source. Okay, so we got that one done. So the next one we're going to do is the time to contact here. And so again, we need the lead source, and then we need the bin of the minutes. So here, I'll just copy this because we already have it, paste it, and then if you remember from before, we want or when we did the lead source, we did the unique function, but we want the same thing for the bucket now. And so we have that here. I'm going to copy and paste because I want this. I don't want this in our formula. And then this is a little bit annoying because it's not sorted in a way that you can, just copy and paste it. But I'll show you a way to do that if the minutes, right? So you have 100 leads. How many of them are contacted within 0 to 5 minutes? And so the formula is COUNTIFS, and I'm not gonna go back to the data set just because I'm gonna explain things to you here. So we have lead source, right? So we want to count the lead source, comma, and then we want to count the lead source, and then we gotta tell it what lead source we want, and then we want to count the bucket, right? Because that's the time bucket that we had here, right? So 108 of the leads were contacted within 0 to 5 minutes, but now we need to know, well, how many leads were there to get the percentage? And so if you think about it, how can we do that? So we already have this part here, but if we just remove the bucket section, then we'll just have the count of the maintenance member leads, right? And so now you have a percentage. So, 13% of the leads were contacted within 5 minutes. And now we want to just drag this across, but you'll notice that we can't. And the reason is because you'll notice these are changing. Like lead source B21 changes to lead type C21, right? So it's moving over. And so, and also if we drag it down, it's the same problem. You can see now it's the 13%. The columns are staying the same, but the 0 to 5 minute now becomes 13%, and so it's not working. So we need to tell Excel, like, hey, as we drag over, we want the lead source column to stay the same, but we want the 0 and 5 minute bucket to change to 6 to 10 minute bucket, right? But as we drag it down, we don't want the 0 to 5 to change down, and it's called absolute referencing. And so what you'll notice is we want the columns to stay the same as we drag it across. So you just put a $ before the letter, which is the column, right? A, B, C, D up here is the way that Excel, has their columns. And then, so B21, put the $ before, and then with the row, put the $ in between. Now, if you drag it, you're still going to have a problem, and that's just the nature of table. You can see, yeah, it's a little bit different than this one, but the reason I'm showing you this is because there's a lot of different ways to do this. So you could do it at this level, or you could do it at this level, or you could do the whole entire thing. So however you like to do it is completely fine. With this one, the way it's being done is, yeah, so it's at the, it's at the column level. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but you'll have this file if you wanna do it that way or do it this way. It's just the thing is, the reason why I'm showing you different ways is because you might want to see it different, right? So like not everybody wants to see it the way that I do it. So maybe you want to see at the row level, okay, for maintenance member, most of the leads are being contacted within 11 to 15 minutes, right? But then you could also say, here, referrals are not contacted at the highest rate, which is sort of crazy, right? Because that's the best lead. But anyways, so that's how you do that. I'll show you one more quick thing. I'll try to do it fast, but actually I'll do it really fast. And I won't even talk much about it just because this video is already at 16 and a half minutes. And so I try to keep them short. But what we'll try to do is do the same thing at the sales rep level. So sales rep is him. I'm gonna lock the column. And then bucket is here. Lock the row.